This is a meeting of the World Trade Organization, attended by delegates representing dozens of countries. In this room, decisions are made that shape economies, settle disputes, and determine the flow of goods across borders. Once seen as an unshakable pillar of global commerce, the WTO was established to ensure fairness, encourage healthy competition, and foster global prosperity. Yet today, cracks run deep through that foundation. Major powers, think the United States, China, and even European nations, are turning away, questioning its relevance. Why? What pushes these giants to abandon a system they helped build? The story begins after World War II. 1948 marks the year 23 countries signed the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, a pact born from chaos to stabilize trade. Leaders saw a need for rules, something to stop nations from choking each other with tariffs. This agreement was temporary, a placeholder until a grander vision, the International Trade Organization, could rise. But that dream hit a wall. The United States Congress refused to back it, leaving the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade to carry the torch. For nearly 50 years, it did just that, proving surprisingly resilient. Think of it as the scrappy underdog that kept the world trading, imperfect but effective. Fast forward to 1994. On April 15th, delegates gathered in Marrakesh, Morocco, to sign the Marrakesh Agreement, the pact that created the World Trade Organization. After 8 grueling rounds of global negotiations, the WTO officially launched on January 1st, 1995. This was no small feat. Nations hammered out a system to replace the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, aiming higher. The goal? Create clear rules for trading goods, ensuring every member country gets equal treatment. One core idea, called the most favored nation principle, stands out. If one country cuts tariffs for another, everyone benefits. Picture this. Say Japan slashes taxes on American cars. Suddenly, Germany and Brazil get the same deal. Fairness, right? The World Trade Organization delivered. Global trade doubled, tariffs dropped 9% on average, and economies boomed. So why the trouble now? The 2000s reveal the first tremors. The World Trade Organization thrives on settling disputes. Think of it as the referee in a global trade match. Expert panels, 3 to 5 members from different nations, dig into evidence and rule on conflicts. Since 2003, 2/3 of these cases settle through negotiations, not rulings, showing the system works in sometimes. But here's the catch. Every decision needs full agreement from all members. That sounds fair, but it also meant that just one country could block everything. Enter the Doha Round, launched in 2001 to create new trade rules to help poorer nations by lowering tariffs and opening markets for goods like crops and clothing. Years drag on, and by the 2010s, it stalls. Why? The US pressed fast, growing economies like China and India to lower tariffs on American products such as corn, soybeans, and machinery to boost its exports. China refused, wanting to shield its own farmers and factories from foreign competition to protect local jobs. India, too, resisted opening its markets, prioritizing its rural communities. Deadlock. A system built on consensus starts to feel like a straitjacket. 2019 delivers a gut punch. The World Trade Organization's Appellate Body, the group handling appeals and disputes, shuts down. Why? The United States blocks new judge appointments, leaving no one to hear cases. Rulings pile up, and countries exploit this gap. Here's how it works. A panel rules against a nation. Say, India floods American steel markets with cheap subsidized exports. The United States wins the case in 2022. India must stop. But India appeals, and with no appellate body, the case floats into a void. No enforcement, no change. 2/3 of rulings now vanish into this limbo, slashing dispute filings to 1/3 of past levels. Nations see the referee powerless and start ignoring the whistle. 2020 unleashes a storm. The COVID-19 pandemic hits. Supply chains collapse and food prices soar. Then 2022 brings war in Ukraine, spiking energy costs. Countries panic. Instead of leaning on the World Trade Organization, they shield themselves. Picture this. American farmers face shortages as nations hoard grain. The United States could turn to the World Trade Organization, but why bother? Indonesia, for example, bans nickel exports in 2022 to boost its own factories. Think batteries for electric cars Americans drive. The European Union wins a case against it, but Indonesia appeals into the void. No penalty, no compliance. Protectionism creeps in, and trust erodes. 2024 offers a fleeting chance. February sees 128 countries nearly seal a deal on fishing subsidies. 90% of global fish stocks are tapped out, a crisis hitting coastal towns worldwide. Imagine American fishermen struggling as foreign fleets overfish. Organization agreed to set trade rules, nearly saves the day with a deal to cut fishing subsidies, but India objects. Full consensus fails, talks collapse. Later that year, another try. 128 nations sign a pact to ease foreign investment, promising factories and jobs for struggling cities like Detroit or towns in Africa. Yet India, South Africa, and Turkey block it, refusing to weave it into World Trade Organization rules. Hope flickers, then fades. The system buckles under its own weight. Here's where it gets juicy. While the World Trade Organization stumbles, free trade agreements surge. These deals between two nations or small groups offer zero tariffs and fast results. Think of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, signed in 2020, smoothing car part trades across borders. Businesses love it. Factories shift to low-tax zones. Capital flows shift. Developed nations like the United States use these pacts to dodge World Trade Organization red tape. Developing countries strike them for quick wins. A map of these agreements looks like a web, dense and growing. While the WTO moves like a giant cargo ship, slow and hard to steer, free trade agreements speed ahead like nimble speedboats, quickly connecting countries and businesses hungry for faster, easier deals. Guess which one wins? The United States fuels this shift. Since 2019, Washington cripples the World Trade Organization dispute system, then bends rules itself. Picture American tech firms hit by cheap Indian imports in 2022. The United States sues, wins, but India voids the ruling with an appeal. Frustration mounts. Enter 2025. Donald Trump returns as president, waving the America First flag. Protectionism isn't new. The 1930s saw nations wall off trade, tanking economies and sparking war. Experts warn, if enough countries ditch World Trade Organization rules, that chaos looms again. The United States, once a founder, now drifts away, eyeing its own path. So why are the powers turning away? The World Trade Organization promises fairness, but demands unity. A tough sell in a fractured world. China blocks talks, the United States kills appeals, India stalls deals. Free trade agreements lure with speed and flexibility. Protectionism rises as nations, like the United States guarding its steel or farmers, prioritize home. The organization isn't dead, but its pulse weakens. Could it collapse, dragging trade into lawlessness? Or will powers forge a new order? History whispers a warning. The 1930s ended badly. Today's choices echo tomorrow's fate. What do you think? Can this titan rise again, or is its time up? Drop your thoughts below, and let's keep unraveling this global puzzle together.